All right, the White Death streamer. Just a two material fly, but there's a little bit of trickiness involved. So I'll do a tutorial here. We've got the silver, kind of traditional silver belly with the white rabbit strip on this one, but the one I'm going to tie is a little variant of that that's been turning out pretty nicely. So I'm using a number 4 Mustad 9672 hook, but I think they just changed the number of those to this R74 thing. But yeah, I get the big box of them. They are just a pretty solid 3x long streamer hook. And tighten that up in the vise here. I'm gonna use a kind of a dark brown thread for this one. With the white ones, I usually use a black thread, but the rabbit strip that I'm gonna use is this kind of creamy tan. I think it's actually called, yeah, the hairline calls it light brown. So that's what this one is. And to start it, I put a little bit of a tail. I don't like to put a really long tail because I really hate feeling that tug, and then there's nothing there on a short strike. So maybe just I don't know, just short of a half an inch maybe that I stick up the back, and I kind of stroke those hairs back so that you can put a few wraps of thread between them without cinching a bunch of them down. And I usually go for like 3 wraps on that, and then I kind of fold that strip back, put a couple wraps on there, and then for the mylar tubing, I'm using this stuff from Larval Ace, which is really good. It's 3/16, but you can probably come up with it in other places. But I'm going to use this pearl version instead of the silver for this. So I kind of just like line it up and cut it off just ahead of where the eye of the hook is there. And then it has this core inside that you got to kind of just carefully like push through on one side with your thumb and then pull out. But I actually save that because it makes really good dry fly posts or wings. And then you just got to kind of be delicate with this stuff. It's kind of frustrating to work with if it starts to fray, but you just kind of slide that over and then pinch it. And then I do like a loose wrap all the way around and then kind of tighten it up so that it's cinched down right in front of the zonker where we tied that off. Now here's the tricky part that's kind of drives you crazy if you screw it up. But so I actually whip finish right here, but you got to like kind of get the whip finish started and then pull out some slack to make it around that other end of the mylar tubing without touching it and making it into a frayed disaster. So that takes a little bit of practice just to make that extra wide whip finish gap, and then I just cut that off right there. And then the mylar tubing should kind of be roughly even with the end of the eye. I usually suck some of the thread back up just not to waste it, but then I grab the thread and the mylar tubing at the same time to get it started without letting it twist. And then I kind of like pull the thread back so it's pinched between my fingers, and then do another like kind of a loose wrap around there to cinch down all those mylar fibers or strands, whatever you want to call them. And they'll probably struggle with that the first few, but then once you kind of get the hang of working with the material, it isn't too bad. And then I don't worry about cleaning it up too much yet because we're going to fold this zonker over, and again I'll kind of like pull the hairs back. So when you tie this on too, make sure that you're going with the grain of the hair kind of pointing back that way. And then pull that forward so you have like a little gap to tie on without cinching down the hairs. I just put a couple wraps and then cut really close, and then I'll build up a little bit of a thread head to kind of clean it up and cinch that down. And then whip finish again, regular style. Okay, and then I like to coat these with glue. I use this liquid fusion stuff. I just know that when it dries, it holds up good and it doesn't end up yellowing. But if you're a UV dude or gal, you can use that. That stuff's just a little too popular for me. I don't like popular stuff. So it's kind of easier to do this in the vise, although if I'm doing a whole bunch of them, I'll just kind of hold them in my hand and glue them. But I just put a little bit of glue on there, and then I'll actually put like a line of it right down the this rabbit strip, and then I just kind of, as I lightly push them out, I just kind of do this and give it a nice kind of a coat over the whole thing. It makes it stronger, but it also gives that, especially this pearl mylar, a real minuty kind of look. And it'll even out a little bit as it dries. And then I'll usually just take it and stick it on board or something like this one I have. Let's see if I can show you a whole bunch of them on here that are drying, a bunch of white ones, just on some kind of cardboard to let it dry for a little bit. But yeah, that is it. Pretty simple but effective little streamer. All right, see you next time.